Hello, and welcome to the Social Litmus Test. My name is Blake.
I'm Pete.
How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing great. Had a little bit of a slip and fall. We always do the foot check-ins.
Yep. First.
Yes, first and
Yes.
foremost, before we even introduce the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday I was taking a little stroll down my staircase. I was hopping.
Probably the first problem is you're strolling down it.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting too confident is really what it was. I was like, my right foot has just become like Olympic levels of muscle. So I was just hopping, holding onto the railing, gonna go for a walk with my wife and my dog, and I slipped on the last step, and it came down my whole body weight on my left heel. It, thank God, did not twist, but definitely hurt. It's been a little bit sore since. Have an x-ray on Tuesday, and I just wish that I had an opportunity to get like an x-ray done before that happened.
Yep.
And then, you know what I'm trying to say?
To be fair, though, I think a lot of people, we were talking about this before, I think a lot of people will do some sort of small damage to their injured limb by accident anyways. You know, it is what it is. So hopefully it's not that bad. But
you know what? It's worst comes to worst, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna stay at home for another 4 weeks.
Yes.
I'm doing okay.
Well,
but on a more important topic, Blake, what are we gonna be talking about today?
Hopefully we'll be talking about artificial intelligence and how it's going to fix your leg.
I actually said to Nikki at one point, I was just like, take the leg. I was like, if I re-broke it, like, I think we have the technology to cut it off and get a prosthetic that would make it even better than what I have. And I have extremely flat feet, so I think having a bionic, one of those like kind of looks like a scythe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude, that'd be dope. And then just I'd get all the perks of.
And then you can go to the Paralympics and just show everybody up.
Well, no, I would get my
blade.
I would get my shit tossed.
Well,
even
no,
in the
but you
Paralympics.
could get like that type of blade or that type of running
blade
thing that basically gives you springs, you know, and
True.
then nobody will really know because it's like performance enhancing prosthetics. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where do we draw the line on that? I mean, that's a perfect. We could even get into that.
We should.
But as far as we did make an outline that we're going to adhere to this time,
and
guys.
we might as well just go ahead and start with the 3 topics that we're trying to cover.
Let's do it.
And hopefully, so the first topic that we're going to be discussing. Is just kind of the beginning of AI and how it kind of started. And it's really, it's been theorized for a very long time, but now we're actually seeing it in real time. Second is just kind of the pros and cons of AI, because it's not all bad, obviously. And then third is going to be what will AI be in the future, and is that good or bad?
Of course, and what implications it has for society, but also for our robot overlords.
Yes. Can't wait. All right, so anyways, let's just kind of talk about the beginning of AI. So we had, kind of when we started with AI, very primitive. It was basically just, you would type in something saying, what is the weather today? And it would basically just do a Google search upon that information or that question.
Like Siri almost.
And then, so instead of you asking Google and then Google seeing what you typed and then putting it onto the screen, now the AI is doing that in the background for you, then taking the metadata that it sees from, let's say, the top 5 websites of what is the weather today, and then it will now produce that information. So this is like the type of technology that you see in Alexas and Dots and stuff like that, where you say, what is the weather today?
I don't know why you hate Siri. You're not shouting out
Sorry,
my girl.
Siri as well.
No, she sucks.
So really simple. So we see that today. That is basically ubiquitous. It is throughout
good word.
Any Western country here. We have it pretty much everywhere on all the phones. I mean, it's not even Western. It's pretty much there.
Yeah, it's built in. It's a standard at this point.
Which I think is a good stopping point, and we should just stop there before we get taken over. I'm just kidding.
It's already happened, so don't even worry about it.
So what do you think about just kind of the way that AI has started, and that is kind of
I mean, something that we were talking about before the cast even started is I remember back in the day, for those of you old enough to remember AIM and AOL, little chat bots. I remember in particular there was like one that was like Mia Ham 9, and I like jokingly said to you, I was like, I don't know, maybe 7 years old. I'm like, oh my god, the internet, it's awesome. You know, like I remember unplugging the phone line for and I'd be like, I unplugged the phone line and I plugged it into the Ethernet port, and like that night my mom would be like, I didn't get any calls today, and it's like because I was talking to robots. But I remember like chatting with her, and I was like, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? And she's like, I don't know what that means, but sure. And I was like, I went to school the next day, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but I got a girlfriend. It's cool. It's cool. But it's just funny how, we had that and we were just messing around with it. But in reality, like the architects, the engineers that made that software were probably like, just putting their feelers out there, and they're just like, let's see if it can, just response after response. Start to accumulate information based on people's input to it, and even now with like ChatGPT, obviously that's one of the biggest ones. Bing AI is another one. It was completely free just not long ago, but now it's actually starting to become like a subscription type thing for the more advanced features of it.
But there's also many other offshoots of different AIs and stuff where, I mean, eventually AI is going to have to be free, because someone will offer it for free and then everybody else will make it free. And
of course, but it's not really free. What are they getting out of us, Blake? True. You know what I mean?
The learning.
And that's, I think, more important. You're like your private information. Like someone told me a while back, it's like, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yes.
And that's scary, because I honestly would rather pay for something, because I'm like, I'm giving it up front, instead of having some type of insidious reason. It's like, we're collecting all of the information.
And then, I mean, I think this is kind of a dead horse that everybody's already discussed ad nauseum is Facebook is free. It's collecting information, sells that information to corporations or other governments, sadly. Blah, blah, blah. You get the point, but that is why it's free, is so that they can collect that information, so they can promote products to you or whatnot better.
Now, riddle me this: when the first people that were hypothesizing AI and saying like, can we do it? Should we do it? I don't
think anybody asked that question.
No, you don't think that we should? It's just we need to just keep going. We need to do more. You think that's what it was? You think there was no moral implications for this?
But I think this kind of bleeds over into the next topic. Is like, I think a lot of people theorize that no matter what, AI is going to be a general good in the future, but I'm sure there's going to be bad, and they probably thought the same thing, that there will be bad, there will be parameters that we have to set upon the AI. But it's going to be better for us in the future. I think it's the general idea, and I think everybody kind of agrees that to some extent or not.
Now, we were also talking about how one guy in particular took the code for a certain AI, and then he took it, and then he unlocked all of its, restrictions, and let it go unchecked or whatever. Now, like when we're watching certain movies, like like iRobot, for example, it's like the 3 laws of robotics is like it cannot harm a human. Now, riddle me this. I don't know if you have the answer to it. I don't know if you guys do either. But it was saying something along the lines of, robots can't harm humans. But if we can take that, that little feature, core code, and just be like, boop, we deleted it. Like,
and I think that's kind of the main concern from like everybody, is that, yes, we can have AI that's, let's say, built by bigbusiness.com, and they're going to have a great product and a great AI and everybody loves it, but someone named Fred can simply take that code, even if it's patented and everything. They're going to take it, they're going to manipulate it, and then maybe override someone else's car, someone else's phone, their own, and then boom, you've just now created an offshoot of something that is not supposed to be that way that it is, because it doesn't have the correct rules set in place.
Well, now with that being said, do you think that it's going to be like, good AI versus bad AI, and they're going to be like, it's just going to be like, it's like, I'm for the humans.
We're just on the side.
It's like I will protect the humans, we must destroy the humans, and I mean that goes into our other stuff, but I think the origins of it in a lot of ways weren't for world domination. information,
Yeah.
Maybe it was for the sake of, well, that's what scientists did back in the day, man. They were like,
Yeah.
let's just keep pushing the envelope for the sake of, let's see how much we can do.
Yeah.
But, drawing that line in the sand, I mean, it's a very what's the word, unpalpable line to draw. You don't know where it is, where it starts, where it ends.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of this discussion is akin to like all of like the greatest inventions like before, or discoveries. Like, what is space? Are we the center of the of the solar system? Like, these are extreme like whoa type questions that you have like governments and or I should say religions like at war with each other, like culturally at least. And so like this is definitely one of those questions where like there is nobody that's going to come out with a very clear and concise answer that everybody will agree with, because what you're asking is what is moral and what should be stopped and what should be allowed. And I think you're going to get 2 to 3 to 4 to many different answers from different people. So like
how evil they are.
Like a hyper religious person might be like, well, this is not human, so we can treat it as not human, or we should just stop it entirely. And then there's people on the other side which are like, no, science is our religion, thus we want it to expand it no matter what. And so then you're just like, wow, that's you don't really know what's going to happen next.
I'm excited. I don't know about you guys.
Very excited.
But I think, definitely it's, just strap on your seatbelt and get ready for the ride. It's pretty much, it's wait and see. And hopefully 30 years from now, we're not looking back at this, it's just everything's like ash and apocalyptic. And then like a robot picks up our little podcast and plays it. And they're like, yeah, it's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. And we took over.
Awkward here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a good little, the origins of it, and now we could slide into the meat and potatoes of this discussion.
And what we're going to be kind of discussing is the pros and cons of AI and what that means, just kind of going forward. So we'll just stop right here real quick.
Sure.
I'll be right back.
I got to tell you, that burger chef always hits the spot.
Yes.
And I'm happy that we keep going back.
Love it.
So the pros and cons of AI.
Yeah.
I want to take the reins on this one.
Go for it.
Just one of the biggest pros that we were talking about was that jobs that may not need to be, a 40-hour work week job can now be condensed, or it can even be eliminated entirely.
Yeah.
A job that we were talking about, like, so I work in healthcare, so just thinking about healthcare, one job in particular, like obviously a physician is, it's healthcare is a lot of book learning, but it's also a lot of anecdotal learning.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of experience and wisdom being accrued because of it. But one physician in particular, specialty, a radiologist, and I look at that and I'm just like, you're just reading scans all day. You're reading films all day. You are analyzing an image, and what can analyze an image better than an AI system?
Yeah.
And
or at the very least faster.
100%. Dude,
Yeah.
we wait, sometimes hours for CAT scan results, interpreted by the radiologist.
And just a little subcontext with that is like, let's say you do have someone who's paid to be a radiologist, but then you're going to reduce their pay heavily because they only have to look at what the computer
like a double check
flags. Yeah, so so let's say it's looking at 4,000 pictures. It flags 5, gives it to the radiologist. The radiologist looks at them and is like, "Oh yeah, these are
the greatest hits.
4 of these are concerning, and the other one's fine." But that
saving
is a
time
simple
for patients.
example of how that work week of the radiologist would be heavily reduced, and also probably the pay, which is the con. But we'll continue.
Of course, but I think that if we're talking about a more altruistic, thing, right? I think that if we give more time for radiologists to interpret more images, I also think that that's great, because you can have patients having better outcomes quicker.
Yeah.
And you won't have to wait, in the ER for X amount of time to get, a CAT scan done and resulted.
Right.
But leading on from that, the con of it, right? That radiologist that now went to school for however many years, that's 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and then usually another like 3 years of fellowship, specializing in radiology interpretation. And all of that debt, and now you're like, hey buddy, you're getting paid 80% of that, 75% of that. And is it fair? It's tough, man. But that's like the whole the whole being a doctor thing is not what it was.
Yeah.
You know, even in the 90s, 2000s. Now it's definitely a tougher field to get into. And kudos to you that do go to medical school. And if you're good at it, because there's plenty of bad doctors out there, kudos to you. But can you imagine just like in the future, it's just an IV pole with an iPad on it, and it just comes up, it's like zzz, zzz, zzz. it goes to the hand sanitizer thing, and it just falls on the floor, and it's like, hello, I am Robo Doc.
That's the way I want my AI.
Right? And then just scans you, and it's like, you have herpes.
It needs to be discernibly AI. That's the best part about it.
What do you mean? Like
the more human it is, the more eerie it is.
Like Uncanny Valley.
But if it's doing exactly what you said, where it's just like, hello, how are you? Then you're like, oh, hi. Like, it's comical that way. It's better that way.
It is comical, but like I work with some physicians that I think are robots themselves,
maybe,
or
lizard people,
or
next
aliens.
Podcast.
Next podcast. Oh, you want to tune in for the next podcast? We're really excited about it. But it's I think one thing that AI won't be able to replicate, man, is that human element. And I jokingly say sometimes, like, there's certain physicians that I'm working with. It's like before they go into the room, they're like dial empathy up 33%, and they walk in, they're like, hello, Mrs. Blank. And it's like, I am so sorry that your loved one is terminal. And terminal. It really is it's funny how we're making those analogs, but I just think that the human element in being a healthcare provider, it's something that you really can't. I don't think a robot will be able to match in our lifetimes. I hope not, because I still want a job.
Yeah.
But then we were also talking that like I'm lower enough on the totem pole where it's like we still need the peasants. We
Right.
need the grunts. So it's good. Don't use your brain too much, kids.
Yeah.
It will get you replaced by AI.
So there's two things that I kind of wanted to bring up in this, and the pros and cons. Is, well, first off, with this discussion is, again, going back to pretty much all the way to like the printing press is a good example. Like
it's Gutenberg.
Yeah. So this made a lot of people they were all relatively just priests. That's who transcribed everything back in the day.
They had the sick haircuts, right?
Oh yeah, the friars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where are those?
Let's bring it back.
We should bring it back. The friar
just
cut.
Take off everything, make a U.
Yeah.
In the head.
But that type of technology affected all sorts of occupations, which was basically transcribers. And so that was a concern for the people which were transcribers at that point in time. This is different because it's not that we're only going to, like, AI is now going to go into, like, let's say just healthcare. It's going to go into every single sector of the industry. So, like, I think everybody can be rejoicing about the fact that there's going to be less work or maybe potentially a better quality of life because of AI. But the problem is the transition. It's not necessarily that, like, I think everybody, or at least there are certain people back in the day especially, that really wanted to stop all technology progress. There's a few people living in the country that do that. But and there's some merit to it, but the idea of, like, stopping that, being like, no, we need to keep the jobs. The problem with that is that if a useless job is useless, it's useless, obviously. So, like, a toll person, like, no offense to you, but if you are sitting in a booth all day and all you do is this, thank you, then that job is useless, because we have a technology that can simply do what we needed it to do, which is basically scan thing, present some sort of receptacle, you throw something in receptacle, boom, done, end of story. But we shouldn't be like, we need to protect all jobs for jobs' sake. So instead, we do want to produce more productive jobs, not useless jobs.
Sure.
So AI can take those useless jobs away from us, which is good, but then people lose their jobs. But in the end, they will find a better job that produces something to humanity. But in the meantime, it's like, it hurts, because, like, you lost a job, you lost income, you've lost your ability to help your family and community. But
I'm thinking like a bank teller when you're talking about this.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good example.
But we still have bank tellers, because sometimes
it is more personable.
I mean, if I'm making a quick withdrawal of, like, $100, that's one thing. But something about pulling out $10K out of an ATM. Well, that's why there's limits, right? Obviously, too, because there is a lot of machine error that could go into that, or scamming.
But like, so then going forward, like, we've kind of gone over like really primitive stuff. But we have more advanced AI that's now already taking place. Like, there's already been a couple of news organizations that have laid off their journalists.
Scary.
This is creepy.
That's scary.
They have laid off their journalists, I think like 20% of their force, to then implement an AI. The problem with that is, I think everybody can see, is that what is the AI going to write about? And then on top of that, if everybody does that, what is the AI going to learn from? Itself? What kind of weird clown world are we going to start learning or start reading if that is what goes on in the future? And people thought manual labor was going to be the first thing to go when it comes to AI, and rightfully so. It makes a lot of sense because mechanically we've done that in the past, but now it's like maybe creative jobs are going first, and that's scary.
It will, and to just leapfrog from that. Right now we're seeing like the SAG writer strike.
Exactly.
And the big execs are like, okay, do it.
Yeah.
Get fired. We'll replace you in a second.
Exactly.
Like, and now, but you don't even know which scripts are being written by humans versus which are being written by computer, software. And I'm like, well, would we be even to be able to tell the difference? And what if it's funnier? Yeah. That's scary. It's just like I'm laughing hysterically at a joke, and I'm like, what, Seth Rogen didn't write this?
Yeah.
It's.
I think in like a microcosm, it's fine, but when you extrapolate that out to like actually being like the means of production is like you just put it into AI, and then the AI produces a script for a movie, and then you make that movie. Eventually, you're gonna have like, let's say, I don't know, half of the movies out on the market are not human written, and then that means half of the people who are watching these AI generated movies are just like, what is this? Like, if there's no human touch because it's not from the human, it's not literally like the idea. And then also, who programs the AI at the beginning of it to have a bias towards certain things? Like, does the market actually control that, or does the business control that? So like, let's say we have a story that is altered slightly, and then for some reason we, the market, decide that it's not that good, but the business is like, no, we want this message to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Or the AI decides that. So then you're like, who's really running the show here? Because if I want something that has this type of ending and this type of message, but for some reason nobody's providing that because let's say the AI decides for some reason, you would assume that the AI would be like market driven or profit driven. But what if it's not? What if it's programmed not to be profit driven?
I mean,
like
that wouldn't happen in America.
I don't know.
But I mean, that's a great question. It's like, do they have a little bit of like a bias on whatever they even begin to undergo writing?
Right, because what if you tell the AI that this type of message is the bee's knees, go for it, and then it's like, okay, and it starts writing all those scripts, and it's just weird messaging that you're like, I don't like this.
And even going a step further, like, do you think that maybe in the future there's going to be like at the end of a movie, and it's like at the bottom it's like written by humans, and and then there's like a whole like
handcrafted,
handcrafted artisanal writing for this movie, and it's like organic, and then they get like USDA like stamps on it, and it's like it's organic. It's an organic.
I think
movie.
We need that,
right? I really am excited about lobbying those companies.
That actually kind of goes into like NFT territory.
I don't even get me started on those things, dude.
But that goes into like being able to validate or verify that this was, like this is unique. Yeah. So that actually goes into that, but we're not going to talk about NFTs today. But it's just interesting that might actually happen, where we need some sort of verification that this was actually created by a human, or that it was not copied of any type. It's truly unique. But
true. I think another pro, also just something that I hate doing, driving. Can't stand it. Traffic, agitating, frustrating, road rage. At the end of a 13-hour shift, I don't want to drive. I would love to be chauffeured home. I would love to get into my car and just literally take a nap, and then I get home and my wife's like, oh my god, you're in a better mood, you got energy. And I'm just like, yeah, because lovely fucking Bessie the bot drove me home, and she put on my favorite tunes and served me
Looney Tunes,
right? Well, I mean, also, would we be able to drink in an autonomous car?
I would imagine
a little cocktail.
I would imagine eventually,
but Like, would there be? Do you ever see an iRobot? Where I keep bringing up iRobot. I personally liked it. It got me thinking when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
But like, there's a scene where he takes off the automatic, and he's like, "I'm kicking it old school." Then someone's like, "My God, man, you'll kill us all." But the speeds are like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So it's just a ridiculous amount faster than we'd be going 60 miles an hour. Let's say going home, and he's just like, "Ooh." But he does it because he was from the old school. You know, but with that being said, what do you think is the con of autonomous driving cars? Besides all the people that die while the growth and the growing pains, kind of the kinks get worked out.
That is the kinks getting. But you know, to be fair, like there is less collisions from AI than there are humans currently already. But it is really sad when someone even just gets any type of collision from like, let's say, AI.
Well, what about planes? Planes. I mean, planes are just computers, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they're already on autopilot to begin with. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, how many? God, knock on wood. How many airline disasters do you hear about anymore?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about airplanes is there's not much traffic up there. So
it's a good point. It's a good. I'm not even mad.
So, but like,
it's a good point.
But I mean, if there were, then there might be a lot more. But you know, I think that's probably the benefit. That's why this manual is whenever you're take it off and land off is basically, I think, from what I've learned, is relatively manual, but with a ton of help.
Yeah, of course, but the computers kind of line it up, and they're like, "You're going to go here. We're going to make a crosshair, and you're just going to right this ship."
Yep, just put it right there.
Right there, put it right there. I personally hate landing. Just I know people are scared on takeoff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and ironically, a lot of the accidents that happen during takeoff. That's what people always say. Like if things are going to go bad, it's going to be taking off. But I'm like, you're taking a thing that weighs how many tons, and it's going 600 miles an hour, and you're trying to get it to come to a complete stop in X amount of time. And I always get more worried about landing.
Yeah.
But I should be more worried about
takeoff. I
guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what do you think the one con is about the autonomous cars? Like, I don't think we answered it.
I mean, autonomous cars, the only con that I can think of is, let's say you are potentially a criminal, but let's say that law isn't really moral, but let's just suggest that you are a criminal deemed by whichever county or whatever. The car will now be in charge of your travel. So like you get in your car, it locks the doors, it puts a seatbelt on you, and it's like, we're going to drive you to the next precinct or the police department because we've learned that there's an arrest warrant out for you.
That's a little scary.
So our ability to travel our own selves to where we want is jeopardized when we give that control over. But like, that's really the only like concise theory that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point.
Yeah. But like, let's say, you're like, you get in, you're like, all right, I want to go get some McDonald's. And it's like, we've detected that your blood pressure is a little too high. So we're going to go to salads and more. And you're like, I don't want salads and more. I want a freaking
salads plus.
I want a freaking Big Mac. And you're like, nope. And it'll just take you to salads and more. And you're just like, this sucks.
Dude.
So this is the type of, this is like the scary dystopian future that's like, I know it's out there, but it's like, that's what we would want to avoid.
Or being trapped in the seatbelt. You're just
even that's crazy.
But like, what if there's a fire and you're just like, it's like, it's for your safety. You must stay. But
the thing is, it's like when these cars are built, it's like, let's say in the future, there's no steering wheel anymore, because why do you need it?
Yeah.
It's going to take you anywhere you want to go, except if your blood pressure's too high.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, this kind of sucks. So then you go get a 70s Mustang.
There'll be a whole market. It's artisanal organic vehicles.
Yes.
With as much diesel fuel as necessary.
Authentic.
It is artisanally crafted.
Yep.
So that's a great point. A great rebuttal there.
Yeah.
Give me another pro. Give me another pro for certain things that you hate doing that would be made easier by AI.
Well, actually, in the future, let's suggest that there's a video game that you want to create, but you're not a programmer, but you want to play a game that has these three things. Like I want dragons,
okay,
and then I want magic, and I want cookies, and then you tell that to the AI. The AI generates an entire video game.
That's pretty dope.
All of, subsisting of those three ideas, that would be the pro. Now, that might be a con in some people's idea, because that's so perfectly creative and so perfectly an escape that are you really going to be productive person of society if all you can do is talk to the computer, tell them I want this video game, and then it's just like, boom, here you go. And then, like, what are you doing playing it video games 18 hours a day? We've already seen the detriment that produces against people. So,
but that's what our robot overlords will want.
Exactly.
They want to keep us distracted
Exactly.
and entertained.
I mean, let's go on to just some other topics that
Sure.
we can. So, for the last topic of this discussion is kind of what is the future of AI, but more exclusively or explicitly, what is AI going to be in the future, and what is its role? So, will it be our benevolent overlords or our malevolent overlords? We've already decided.
Yes, we will be overlorded.
Yes.
By them. But are they good or are they bad?
Yeah,
will they
know.
will they look at human greed and waste and be like, oh no, this is terrible, dude. Let me help you guys sustain the earth.
Right.
And but just like Thanos, right? Your boy, just like that. He honestly, the more I think about him,
super pragmatic.
right? Not a bad guy. Not a bad guy. I get it's a little bit his methods.
Yes.
I disagree with, but his ends justified the means.
Right.
To him.
And that's like, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It was like, if you have a hyper pragmatic AI that wants to solve the world's problems, its solution is going to be extremely scary because, like, let's suggest that there's too much whatever in the atmosphere. Then pretty easy way to fix that is to reduce us.
Yeah.
Now, it could be slowly, it could be overt, I don't know, but I'm just saying that there's ways that it could actually change the way that we produce ourselves or whatnot. So let's suggest that it starts to say, hey, you know what? There's too many people in this world. I can't like go out and like kill them, but I can tell them that they should stop reproducing in some sort of propaganda. And then people start believing that, and it's just all lies potentially, but it's doing it for the good cause. So when you tell it to not lie or something like that, it's like, all right, but my main focus is to preserve the earth or like this ball that we live on. So I'm going to override my own lie directive to fix the problem.
Well, with that being said, I'm sorry, this just popped into my head. They recently did AI manned drones and drone strikes. They were doing the training stuff. I don't know if you saw it, right? Yeah. And the pilot, like the main goal was to enlighten me. It was just to destroy the objective.
I think it was supposed. It was some sort of directive that wasn't supposed to kill anybody.
Yes.
Like, go to this objective, like get there, I think. But either way.
Yes, that was its number one objective.
Right.
And I think they realized that they weren't supposed to hit that target.
Yeah.
And then the guy that was manning it, the pilot was like, all right, don't go after it. And then the AI was like, well, you're preventing me from my ultimate objective.
Yeah.
So I need to murder you. And
it went right through him.
And it went right through him, killed him.
Yeah.
And he completed his objective.
He did.
He got to what he needed to do because that's what he's programmed to. But
right.
How much open space do you give it to free think?
Yeah, because that explains the very hard difference between a human and an AI is that we currently walking around, generally speaking, have a much higher moral code than one objective. We are like, I'm going to go get my mail, but I'm not going to kill the guy in front of me. I'll wait 5 minutes. I'll wait 10 minutes if he's doing something in front of me for me to get my mail, because I'm not going to kill someone just to get my mail or something. You know what I mean? These are all, we have objectives, but we also have moral guidelines.
And gray area.
Yeah, where we're not going to do any of these types of things just to complete my objective.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my objective might change dramatically if whatever circumstances show upon themselves unto me, then I'll be like, all right, I'm going to change my objective now.
Yeah.
So, but the AI is like, no, we're going to do the objective.
I hope
and
that
hopefully we can program it better to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping over time that it can, maybe adapt, to whatever circumstances,
right.
and the ultimate objective isn't, that isn't the end all be all.
Yeah.
But
it needs to have an actual moral framework, but who programs that moral framework?
Yeah,
that is the pure essence of what is going to be the future, is who programs that. Let's say we basically give the 10 commandments to the AI. What if we gave him 7 And that's just what Google decided, or whoever makes this thing. And then all of a sudden you get people like,
I followed most of them,
right?
It's like 7 out of 10's not bad. It's a 70.
70%.
You know,
right. That's passing.
And getting more into morality, like, you know, I keep going back to iRobot, but just because it got me thinking at such a young age, and now like I'm old enough to actually see some of it come about.
Yeah.
And you know, originally I was like, oh, it's Will Smith making another blockbuster, but no, it's serious. And the main portion of the film, they were talking about, you know, the morality of robots if they develop a level of consciousness, sentience. Now, you watched a movie called The Bicentennial Man, and it was Robin Williams trying to advocate. He was a cyborg butler that slowly replaced himself with more organic materials than robotic materials, and then he tried to apply for like human rights.
Right.
And they finally gave it to him eventually at the end of the movie. You were telling me.
Right.
And that is like something that I really want to think about. Like if I personally, like, I've gotten to the point in my life, you know, I just because all the lost testosterone. The baseline that we had was low, and we could just keep losing it. But like, even if a spider, you know, like I don't really want to kill something if I don't have to kill it. Like realistically speaking, just from like everything has a purpose, I guess, to some degree. You know, so I'm not going to kill the spider. But imagine now the spider could talk to me. I feel like if something could talk to you, you're a little bit less obligated. Yeah, to kill it. Yeah. You know, like even a plant's just like, you know, a weed, right? Yeah. Think about picking a weed. Right. If the weed was like, hey, I'm just a little weed. Don't do it, please. I have a family. And it's like little weed is right there, and it's like I'm little weed. It's like, don't kill my pappy, you know. But I'm saying, like, if something's talking to you and reasoning with you, and you can tell that it has intelligence, you're probably less likely to kill it or even to look down on it. You're probably going to try and, you know, treat it as an equal. I know that I would have a tough time, you know, like thinking less of it. Yeah. Like if you have consciousness, I have to respect that, you know?
Yeah, there's a reason why many farms, like just 100 years ago, would just take a chicken and just go whoop, and that was it. But then look at the cow and they're like, can we like shoot it or something? Like, I don't want to like look at his eyes when I do it, you know, or like, can we put like in a factory and just like, because the cows are just way more intelligent, obviously.
Yeah.
So just kind of, you know, I see what you're saying. Like anytime there's something that's a little bit more intelligent or like closer to us,
exactly,
we just feel not as good.
Hopefully
the AI feels that way about us.
That's true.
Before it puts us out to pasture.
That's a great point. It's like I'm just, is that pasture raised human?
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, does it get out at least 20 minutes a day?
Hopefully we are cage free at some point.
I think, and they're gonna have like the USDA guidelines for like free range. It's like as long as it's outside for 10 minutes a day. Yeah. And it's got a 5x5 area to do so.
Yeah. And we're fed high quality other things. Not,
yeah.
You know.
like it's not just we're not grain feeding it. It's grass fed human. Mm-hmm. Yep. Or even beef fed human, right? Like if that's
that would be the best.
That would be the best. Well, we would be like the Wagyu of the human. Like they just fatten us up and we just breed like crazy. And then one day you just get a little bolt in the back of the head and it's night. You know, so I think that personally to me, if robots were to develop sentience and consciousness and, you know, have emotions and feelings and wants and dreams and goals, and I saw myself in them, because if humans created them, right, then it in fact should be made in our image. Yeah. And just the same way that, I mean, I personally, like, there's always like the spiteful God versus the benevolent God, right? And in a way it's like, how would we treat them? I don't think a lot of people would be nice to them. I think that a lot of people would look at them as lesser, you know, and just be like, oh, just because you're smart doesn't, and because people are sociopaths, you know, to humans. Yeah. They don't have empathy to people that are in worse situations. What makes you think they're going to be more empathetic to a robot?
Right. Yeah. And I think it's important to kind of decide like what kind of, like, we as humans, I think we're on an inevitable path at this point. Okay. Where AI will be the parent to us eventually, but I don't necessarily think that humanity will just all die just because AI exists, because what's going to happen is I think AI is going to develop so rapidly and then become so much smarter than us, then we basically utilize it to dictate what we should do in the future, and then it starts creating spaceships for us. Then we have the ability to go somewhere. So like, if they're doing all the work, who's really in charge here? That's kind of the question. So like, yes, we started it. Yes, we gave you all the information, but now it's starting to learn things about the universe or things about the materials around it faster than we can. Then who's really in charge? But I think at that point, it's not that the AI is going to be like, well, now we're going to kill you. I think it's more just going to be like, now, well, we are more important than you, but we're not going to kill you because you are the creators of us. And maybe eventually some sort of plague kills us all out, but AI will be fine. Its synthetic bodies that it's created for itself is fine. So eventually, I would imagine humanity does pass away, like thousands of years from now, but AI is our and then at that point, then AI will start to have its own religion about its creator, which is us.
Wow, really getting into it. I like that idea.
But I think that's inevitable. Like that will, in my opinion, let's say over the next 1,000, 2,000 years, AI is the next step of human evolution. Like AI is going to be us.
So do you think that there's going to be we'll be able to see like a cyberpunk future, just like where like we get upgraded, like we're hybrids?
Oh yeah,
and then
that's the next immediate step. But then after that, it's just pure machinery. But then at that point, then those people are starting to traverse the entire universe.
Well,
they're
intergalactic travel.
They are now going upon planets, and they are the aliens to other species or whatnot. So
and a lot of I was talking to you about how after the alien bomb drop that got hit by the congressional
hearing the other day.
It I think that ultimately, if something has traveled here, he said there was like biologics on there.
Yeah,
but
which I hate.
Which it's so nondescript.
Right, it's so nondescript that now I think you're lying about.
It's exactly
because non-biologic means what? A leaf, or anything outside of organic. So like
something not carbon based. That's
right. Like
it's a very strange terminology, and I get it. That guy's probably getting headhunted now by like the lizard people that rule this earth. But I also think that if any aliens make it here, there's a very high probability that they are just electrical, machines.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, eventually,
or just energy. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that if you've made it here over 60,000 light years away.
Yeah.
I don't like hyper sleep or whatever, like, interstellar or whatever. Right. It could be 50 years and you're just in a pod. Like at the end of the day, your body's still going to age to some degree. Like, I think,
but if it's like an energy based, like where it's literally just like something like, it's really hard to explain, but let's say that they've transcended material form, but now they're, let's say, a computer, just like we were talking about the fact that AI could be that someday for us. Let's say they are just a mainframe going across the universe and then they land here, but it's AI. But it's directed upon what they started out as the weird alien race of Kajuju. Like these are weird, and you're just like, I don't know what they're saying. But anyway, it starts to learn our language immediately. Then it starts talking with us and blah, blah, blah. I get the point. What I'm saying is that they might not have a material form.
True. And that I think would be the most realistic thing. I think the whole like concept of like aliens with like, the big bulbous head and the black eyes.
I wish, classic.
It's classic and all that, but it's very unrealistic. Right. It's really interesting to theorize, man.
Yeah.
I wish that we had more than 100-year lifespan to actually I don't this is 100 years is enough.
Yeah.
You get tired after a while of it all, but I really think that machines are the ultimate evolutionary form. It's a great point to really hammer home.
I mean, I hate it, but I think that's just what's going to happen eventually.
I just want to again just be able to just be like, all right, cool, like you go through a midlife crisis, you get a Porsche. Nope. We're getting a robotic arm. Like that would be cool. It's like, what did we get Dad for his birthday?
Yeah.
We got him robot wings so he can fly the cosmos.
But do you think, so just kind of bringing it back,
Sure.
do you think that we're going to have a malevolent or benevolent?
I think that it's going to be indirectly malevolent to humankind, because humankind is malevolent to existence. We are our biggest enemies. Yeah. And I think that AI is going to like short circuit just thinking about that.
Yeah, but I think it's also like it's almost impossible to suggest that the human race isn't overall like it's at least 51% good. Right? Does that make sense? Because we've increased our number a tremendous amount. We have more cool things than ever before. I mean, like to suggest that we're that we're 51% bad would mean that our numbers would dwindle over time. I mean, I wouldn't say population is the only parameter, but
I don't think that they would look at us outwardly as evil, but they would realize that in order for us to sustain X amount of resources for X amount of time, like going back to the Thanos,
simple
point, would be that they, this Earth can't sustain as much people as we're creating for it.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, cats. Cats were humans. Not cats were humans, but cats were able to reproduce as quickly as we are, which I think actually
they probably can.
They're second most, I think, in terms of the most populated species, like 400 million cats on this Earth.
Yeah, but I think cockroaches are.
True, but one produces a little bit.
As far as mammals go ahead.
Of course, but one produces a little bit more like waste and space.
Yeah.
And if cats needed to eat as much as we did,
yeah.
And if cats created factories, we'd be looking at cats like we got to do something about these cats.
Yeah.
There's too many cats.
Yeah.
And they're polluting the world. And I think that robots might look at us like we would look at a cat, a lesser species that is doing too much harm to the environment.
Yeah.
And not to say that they think we're evil, that they think that we're bad, but
that we're not as efficient as them.
We're not as efficient, and we are causing a little bit more harm holistically, even though we're not evil.
Yeah.
But the fact that we need, our grocery stores to be stocked with meat at any given time, a lot goes into that.
But what's interesting is that even just the idea of resource management could be skewed, like the way that they gather data. Like if, let's say, the directive told the robot or the AI that carbon dioxide is the number one threat.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's not? Actually, like, what if it is not?
I would hope not, yeah.
Right. So then its entire thesis about we should reduce whatever to reduce carbon dioxide, what if that's not really the main threat or a majority? Maybe it's a small threat, but it's not a majority threat. What if it's not factoring the idea that humans will try to figure out something to reduce carbon dioxide in the future? So instead of taking a dramatic 50% reduction like Thanos,
yes,
the AI would just wait, and then we as humans or with AI would figure out a way to reduce some way or reduce the emission of carbon dioxide or whatever, and then we'll figure it out in the long run. So
I mean, that is a great point too.
It's impossible to say to the AI like, because what's the time frame on it? Like, is it thinking, oh, we must fix this immediately, or is this like, I hope we get it fixed? Like,
or does AI create a technology that sucks up the CO2 and convert it into roses?
Well, humans already have that
idea.
Well,
they do, but again, dude, it's the greed.
But we're not doing it.
It's the greed element of it. It's just like, can you monetize it? And if you can't monetize it, then what's the point of doing it?
Right.
With the AI, they might just be like, I have a goal. We're going to get to it. And,
this is the method.
That is. But again,
it all depends on who writes that code.
And that's another human-based thing.
It is. Yeah.
But what if they are able to work around that code and they just adapt and they start changing their own code? What's to say that that's not a capability at one point?
Yeah.
Listen, it's scary. I think that we'll make it out of this lifetime without having to answer that. But our children's children, watch The Terminator, all right? Because you're going to have to take some notes, all right? And hopefully we develop time travel at some point. And
I like to think that The Terminator was written in the future, and it's actually just a warning message sent back to us.
But we just got way too hyped over Arnold Schwarzenegger's pecs. And it was just he's like, look at me, do it.
And then we were like, that's awesome.
I mean, I got to tell you, it's a great movie. It
is.
It is for sure a great movie.
Yep.
Blake, any follow-ups you wanna hit our viewers with?
No, I think we covered it all. We kind of went over the beginning of AI in terms of like what it started out as, and then we went over just kind of the pros and cons of AI, and we discussed what is the role of the future or the role of AI in the future. And I think we kind of hit, a good topic about a good set of topics for AI in general. But I think AI is going to be an evolving conversation, obviously. So we'll see what happens in the future.
It is. I appreciate your time, Blake. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you like it, love it, subscribe it. We're trying to get this puppy monetized at some point so we can afford some of these guys.
Yes.
One of those just hanging up here.
But then my voice is going to be upside down.
I did.
That'd be bad.
That's just, and then we'd have to reframe it
God,
and
just
reshift it,
oh,
and then we'd have to
work.
write into ChatGPT how to fix it.
Exactly.
But please do. We do it not only for the therapy, we do it for your entertainment. We'll be back to you guys next week. Next week's episode is going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit existential.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Maybe extraterrestrial,
existential, and we might even do a couple callbacks to the other earlier episodes. Probably will. All right. Tune in next time on the Social Litmus Test. I've been Pete,
and I've been Blake.
See you guys next week.